It's the oldest water tower in the state of Wisconsin. There's just one other in Baraboo that is a little older, but that's a standpipe. And there's a difference between standpipe and water tower. Water tower is an elevated tank, and a standpipe is just a whole column of water. So it's the oldest working water tower in Wisconsin. You know, aesthetically wearing pretty badly. With the city budgets the way they are, we do everything necessary to supply safe, clean, bacteriologically safe drinking water here to the town. But that doesn't always include the aesthetic looks of something, as long as it meets all EPA and DNR standards. We don't have a lot of money for extras, you know, to try to restore it. Although the city has now started talking, and we will be talking within the next 3 years of the future of this tower, what we want to do with it. Restore it, replace it.
Be a shame.
We don't know. It just depends on how much money it would take to restore. If we did go to a different tower, we would definitely leave this standing.
Okay, you wouldn't raise it?
We would not raise it.
Okay.
Would not raise it at all.
Because it's an architectural gem.
It is. It is. It's
and a great, rich history, real history.
Yes, yes. And this entranceway, as you can see, the block up here, this had a kind of a grand entrance of double doors on the front here at the time. It was really nice looking. Being built in 1889 by C.E. Gray Jr. and Sons, out of Chicago, I believe. And when it was built in 1889, the entire water utility was built by some private investors from Chicago as a private water utility. And it wasn't until September 25th of 1912 that the city of Whitewater proposed to purchase the water utility from the private company. And at that time, the city bought it for the entire water utility for $75,000. Nobody's ever been in here except water utility personnel for maintenance and so forth. To my knowledge, nobody's ever been in here except the utility people. I've been here with utility 30 years plus, and this is the first time we've ever had somebody film the inside of the tower.
Wow. Look at this place.
Now the walls here, they're all put up by hand. Back in 1889, construction started on this, and the stone itself was milled out of a quarry. I think it all came from the Chicago area where the contractor was from. It's kind of unclear according to the papers on that, but started out with a footing and then all laid by hand and by 2 crews of masons all the way up. The walls on the outside here towards the bottom are 8 foot thick of stone, and as the structure goes all the way up to the steel tank itself up on top, the walls then taper to 4 foot thick. And the steel tank, which is 175,000 gallons, sits on top of this masonry base with big I-beams that are riveted. Also, the steel tank up on top is all made from sheet steel riveted in place by hot rivets at the time.
How tall is it?
It's 100 foot tall. The masonry base itself is 80 foot, and then the tank itself is another 20 to 30 feet. It says 30 feet, but then again it says the whole structure is 100 feet high. And this particular location was chosen because it is 50 foot higher than the original area that Whitewater was built upon. So it gives us about 150 foot above residences and businesses for pressure. All the way up here, and then there's one over here. These were windows and doorways. At the time of construction, there was a wooden observation deck that was put all the way around the top of the outside of the tower with a stairway on the interior. So it had windows and doors on it.
Wow.
And that's all laid in layers all the way around.
What the tale of what we've read is covens of witches, and
Sure.
what do you know about what legends do you know about?
Well, there's a lot of legends that come to pass that that the water tower is haunted, and that this is a place that the witches use as home, is from what I've heard. I've been here over 30 years and I've never seen anything paranormal going on here whatsoever, and I'm probably the one that's been in here most. I'm up here pretty much every day. Seems that people have to get into here for some reason inside the fence to do whatever they do, because quite often, particularly on Friday mornings after the Thursday night bar nights, they pile up the picnic tables or whatever. Sometimes they bend the fence open to get inside of the area to get to the tower, and for what, just curiosity seekers, I guess.
Personal belief on anything paranormal?
Well, obviously I have an open mind. I'm certainly, I really don't believe in things that I don't see too much. As far as the tower goes, I don't have any personal feelings one way or another on all the rumors in town, because I've never seen anything here. And like I say, I've been in here a lot. Me and my staff has been up to the top climbing in. We've been in the water tank when we do drain downs and
Wow.
clean outs. But I've never seen anything, but I keep an open mind. People can believe what they want to believe. That's where a platform goes on the outside to go up inside the water tank itself.
Gotcha.
And I can look at the phone. The person that was in here at one time, his sole ambition was to rid the tower of the witches. And he had broke into the water tower here.
Someone broke in?
Yeah. At 5:30 in the morning, at least probably earlier than that. That's when I got the call. The security system for the water utility is hooked up right to my cell phone. And I got a call at 5:30 in the morning for a communication failure. Coming up here, if we get a intrusion alarm, it's our standard operating procedure to call the police, meet the police up here. But it was a communication fail. So I figured either a phone line or radio communications failed. So I came up here. It's impossible. And opened the door. Once I came in, I saw somebody here trying to crouch behind our control panel. And once I could wrap my head around somebody being in here, I got my cell phone out and I called the police department. And I was standing right about here. And just as I called the police department and walking in, he ran towards me head first, right into my stomach, and kind of knocked the wind out of me. my cell phone went flying before I was able to talk. So a fist fight ensued within here. All he wanted to do was get out. All I wanted to do was keep him here. So as we fought and throwing each other around in here, I was yelling at my cell phone because I could hear the police on the other end yelling what was going on, and I needed help. And so we fought and fought for about 7 minutes, which seemed like an hour. And the police got here, both University and Whitewater police. And by that time, I had climbed on top of him and had him pretty well subdued. He tried to bit my thumb off. As a matter of fact, I thought he did. But then the police came, took him, put him in the squad car, and interviewed him. And he had told them that he had just watched the trailer for the film Witches of Whitewater, and with his buddies the night before, and he wanted to rid the town of the witches. So that's why he came in here. Like I say, it's impossible to get in here. But what he ended up doing was getting inside the fence, climbing over when there's spikes on the top of it. And he crawled up the overflow pipe and the stone up until the top doorway right under the steel tank. He kicked that open, and if you see up there, I don't know if you can see, there's some old rotten 2x12s up there that just sit across. He walked across those, which are not safe at all to walk across. Excuse me. He came down here without a light, and he had a 8-inch blade knife, and he started cutting all the wires, opened our control panel and started cutting all the wires to the tower controls. Like I say, he wanted to rid this town of the witches, but all of a sudden, after that interview in the back of the squad car, it was reported to me by a police officer that all of a sudden he didn't remember a thing. It was just like, what's happening? You know, so that was that. I was injured and taken to the hospital by ambulance, but was able to resume my duties short after that. So, and that was all because of the witches here, so.
I can't even tell it's a critter.
I could when I walked in. You got out with your thumb and your life?
Yeah. So that was quite a...
And he had a knife as well?
He had and I didn't know that at the time. He had a backpack on, and he had a 8-inch blade knife, and he must have put it back in his backpack before the fight ensued. So I never saw the knife, never knew he had it. All I knew is that he destroyed the panel somehow. And then he also got a conviction for concealed weapon after this too.
How long did it take you? I mean, you had to have fears coming back in here. I mean, that's a traumatic incident.
Well, you know, it's crazy. Ever since that happened, every time I drive down Starin Road here, right down at the bottom of the hill, and I don't care when it is, whether it's on work or after work, the tower always catches my attention. I always look up here every single time I drive by. Just because of that, you know, the memories are kind of crazy. But I really have no fear. I think that, like I said, I look at this tower as a beautiful piece of architecture, and it's a very nice piece of history of the town. He came in over the fence here. I think there's a broken off. There was, at least at one time, a broken off spear.
It's right here. 3 from the...
Where is it?
Oh, right there. I believe he came over here where that broken spear is. And then he hopped on here and shimmied his way up this 3-inch overflow pipe until he got up to the top platform. And once he got up there, he was able to work and kick the wooden doorway in up there. And then he crossed the open part of the base on some old rotten 2x6s that happened to be up there. And then on down. And somebody must have been watching over him that day, because climbing up this with the spears on the fence, he had the opportunity to be killed several times by falling prior to him getting in. So everybody's just thankful that he did not fall and didn't get hurt. This ornamental fence was put up approximately 10 years ago by the city to kind of beautify it up. But one of the folklore in town, that prior to this fence was put up, there was a cyclone type fence surrounding this tower. And the funny thing about that is for security reasons on cyclone fences, they put 3 strands of barbed wire on an apparatus that goes on top of the fence that faces out, so that intruders have a hard time getting up and over and in. Funny thing about that fence was, and there's a lot of talk about that, on this particular installation, the apparatus and the barbed wire on top was facing in the entire area of the tower. And it was always said by locals and other people I've read too, that the reason they put that security barbed wire the opposite way as it should be is to keep the witches within the tower structure itself, so that they cannot get out of this area. That was quite a story for many years that way. But right now, like I say, that's all gone, and we do have the nicer looking fence up. Just to come up here, like I said, I'm up here every morning at some point or another, pretty much just to check on it, because a lot of people like to try to do things in here. And there was a young Asian gentleman standing over on the west side of this fence. When I pulled up initially, I did not even see him, and I got out to walk around the fence, and he was doing all kinds of different things with his arms, and it appeared to me that he was worshiping somehow or something, or I have no idea. His eyes never went off straight ahead, and I never approached him at all. I just let him do his thing, and once I checked the tower, I left, and he was still up here. As I looked in the rearview mirror on the way down, he was still up here doing things like this and so forth. So
When was this?
This was yesterday morning. So I have no idea what that was about, none. But that's just what you see up here at times.